Well, guys, I made it home and I'm officially a Texas Class B driver's license holder. So I can officially drive a Class A RV over 26,000 pounds legally. Um, it was a long, drawn out process and not very documented anywhere. So I wanted to give you guys a rundown of what I had to do and how I did it and where I went. And hopefully that will help you if you try to figure this out for yourself. This is specific to Texas, where I live, and I live near Dallas. I took my written test near in Greenville, Texas, because it was the only place that wasn't booked for months out. And then I took my driving test in Canton, Texas, which was one of the few CDL testing facilities that take RVs. That was not in the big city. I wanted to stay further out into the country. Um, so here it is. I'll show you everything I did. Maybe I did some stuff wrong. I think I did mostly right, but it was confusing and there was some interesting parts in there. But as of right now, I passed and just waiting to get my license. And then I can just drive anywhere I want legally in Texas and other states, because all the other states have reciprocal agreements that if you're licensed in the state you're in, then you're good. With that, here's what I had to do. Okay, so the first thing I had to do was determine which um, license class I needed for my motorhome. And I found this chart on the Texas site, and you can basically see here that if you're less than 26,000 pounds, you don't really need anything but a Class C, which is your normal driver's license. But if you're greater than 26,000 pounds, which my Class A is, you need at least a Class B license. And then if you tow a trailer or a vehicle, if that trailer is less than 10,000 pounds, then you still just need a Class B. But if you tow a big race car trailer or something that's greater than 10,000 pounds, then you need a Class A license. All these are non-CDL. You do not need a CDL in Texas because there's an exemption for RV use, for personal use only. And a lot of people think that you do not need anything in Texas but a regular driver's license. I had so many people argue with me. The person who owned an RV shop where I bought my Class A told me he'd been doing it 20 years and that I was crazy. You didn't need anything, and he never heard of anyone having one. But if you just do a little bit of research, you'll see that technically you do. So I did a lot of research on Google to try to figure out what would happen if I didn't get it. And I think the answer is basically nothing, unless you get pulled over and get a $200 ticket maybe for not having it. It's the same as like not having a motorcycle license while you're driving a motorcycle. I worried a little bit about if you were in a wreck, if maybe the insurance company could use that to not pay a claim. And I read some things online that said they didn't think that was an issue. The guy I talked to who did RV repairs said he's done hundreds of RV insurance claims and never once has anyone ever asked for that. But I did read from some lawyers' posts who said where you might actually get into trouble is if you were negligent and say you killed somebody and they're suing you for gross negligence. That would be a great bullet point for them to win that case, is that you were driving a vehicle without the proper licensing. So once I determined that I wanted to get a Class B license, there's two things you have to do. You have to take the written test, and then you have to take a driving test. So in both cases with Texas now, you have to go to their online scheduling system, and you go in here and you log on with your Texas driver's license, name, date of birth, social security number, and this brings up a reservation system where you can make that first appointment for your written test. Now, there was no good selection for written test in here, meaning it was like update your driver's license or get a CDL or change of an address or change your name. There was nothing that said sign up or apply for a non-CDL Class B license. So I emailed Texas Department of Transportation, and after about 2 or 3 weeks, they answered me back and said just pick other or update, change, renew your license like you were just going in to renew your driver's license. So that's what I did, and when I walked in, I scheduled this in Greenville, Texas. I walked in, and they basically asked me what I was there for, so none of that really mattered. But I said, I'm here, I need to get my non-CDL Class B license to drive an RV. They actually did know what I was talking about. I've read where a lot of places might not know what you're talking about, but this particular one did know what I was talking about. And they had me then fill out one of these forms, DL14A. And it's a big, long, drawn-out form like you're applying for the first time, even though I already had a Texas driver's license. It even asked you about signing up to vote and being an organ donor again. So you fill this out, get into the queue, and then I got to see a person there who went over all this, made sure it was filled out right, understood what I wanted, and then pulled up a test for the driver's non-commercial Class B license, which is just one simple test. It's not all the CDL tests that you would have to take. It actually just covers in the CDL handbook. This is the Texas Commercial Vehicle Driver's Handbook. The normal CDLs have a test on every one of these, every one of these chapters. But for us, for RVs, you only need to study Chapter 14. And Chapter 14, basically what it's going to cover, and there was a lot of questions on everything in here, is what type of lights you need, what kind of flares, flags, reflectors for when you're broken down on the side of the road, where do you place them on the road, divided highways, and then a lot of, how many tail lights do you need and how many marker lights and side lights, everything that's in this Chapter 14. You need to learn every bit of this. It is multiple choice, so it's a little it's sort of easy because you can guess which ones are not the correct answer for a lot of them. But you do need to be very familiar with this. I do not think you would pass if you did not study this book. I mean, it even asks you things about tractors and stuff. So you study out Chapter 14, and then you take the written test. So I took the written test, and I passed. I believe it was 20 questions. I got 19 out of 20 correct, and the one I missed, I believe, was a trick question, but we'll let that go. And so what happened then was they gave me they took my picture, they had me do an eye test, and they gave me a temporary license. Just like when you were 15 and you got your learner's permit, they gave me basically a learner's permit for Class B. Now with that, I went back to this scheduling system, and I booked the RV test driving test online. Now there are only certain ones that do RV testing. I asked at Greenville, and they told me a few around in my area, and I picked Canton, Texas, because that was close to me. So once I signed up for Canton, there was a selection under there that just said RV. So I picked RV and made the appointment. Then when I pulled up, well, I should say I didn't pull up. About 3 weeks prior to my appointment date, I got an email from Canton, Texas, saying that they were a remote only site and did not have any way of taking my $11 for this test. So I needed to schedule an appointment again at another location to go pay $11 before I got there. So I scheduled an appointment in Terrell, Texas, which was the only one I could get in within the week, and showed up, said I need to pay my $11, and guess what? I had to fill out an entire one of these forms again. Again, say that I want to vote, pick if I want to donate my organs, take a picture, take an eye test, everything that I'd just done 1.5 weeks earlier, I had to do again to pay the $11 for the driving test. So then I went back home and I'm waiting another 3 weeks for the drive for my appointment to go take the test. I receive a brand new driver's license in the mail from the first time when I took my written test, and a brand new voter registration card. Once I went and paid the $11 for the driving test, I came back, and about a week later, guess what? I got another driver's license and another voter ID card. So every time you do this, it's like you're signing up brand new. I don't know why they do that, but that's how it happened. So finally the day came that it was time to go and take my driving test, and I hopped into my motorhome, drove to Canton, which was about an hour away, and pulled right up to it was a CDL testing site that really looked just like an empty parking lot in the middle of nowhere, and they met me right there at the gate, and everything went great then. I've got a little video I'm going to include to show you the exact test next. Okay, for my driving test, it was simply a drive around town. I didn't have to do any reverse or backup tests. I know I read on Google where some people were made to do those, but for my test here in Canton, I did not have to go in reverse at any time. Now, an interesting fact, I thought I might have failed the test immediately right off the bat, as my instructor clearly told me to turn left. But for some reason, I wasn't used to a service road going left, so I just thought we were going right. And as I'm about to turn right, she tells me, no, left. And I realized there was no way at that point I could make the left turn. So I stopped, reversed, and then continued on to the left. Whether or not she marked me off for that, I have no idea, because she didn't give me a test result or any kind of score sheet. So then we were off, heading towards the big town of Canton. I did find it interesting that the instructor did talk to me pretty much the entire time, and not necessarily about the test. I think she was just trying to make me feel comfortable, or she just liked to talk a lot. But we talked about everything from how much the motorhome cost, to how hard it was to drive, to what were those cows looking at. But it did calm me down a little bit, and I believe that I drove pretty good throughout the entire test. Once we got into town, I think she was checking, that I'm turning into the correct lanes and using my blinkers and all that stuff. There was also a point in here that for some reason my webcam glitched out on me and didn't catch, or my dash cam, I should say, where she had me change lanes, but I didn't get that on camera. Now, another point up here where I thought I may have messed up was I stopped at this left turn far back from the line because I did see that 18-wheeler coming to make the turn. I want to make sure he had enough space. After he cleared, the light turned out to take forever, and I pretty much just sat there. I never pulled up. Not sure whether I should have pulled up or not, but I stayed right where I was until the light turned green. And then
I was so worried about that, I didn't realize how sharp the turn was. And I think this may have been a trick test here to see if you can make a really sharp turn. And I was able to make the turn, but I did have to use a little bit of the median. But I'm not sure even if I would have seen the extra angle there that I would have been able to swing and cut hard enough. So I don't know whether I got marked off for that or not. Then it was just a drive back through some more farm roads back towards the testing facility. I did have one hard break right there. Not sure whether I got counted off for that or not. I misjudged the stop line a little bit. Didn't want to go over it, so I applied the brakes pretty heavy. Then it was just simply back to the testing facility, and that was it.
So there you have it. That's how I got my non-commercial Class B Texas driver's license. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully it'll help you out. If you did like it, please subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel and hit that follow button so you don't miss any new videos. From Motorhome Music Concerts, I'm Chuck D. Peace out.